My wife thinks I have hearing damage, and
What?
I'd like her to keep it that way.
Shut up and sit down.
Strava needs no introduction, but I will give it one anyway. Part activity tracker, part social media network, part route planner, part archive of billions of bike rides.
Strava KOMs or QOMs are quite possibly the most sought-after accolades in all of cycling.
You are listening to the Dial Podcast with Strava's hosts Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. If it ain't on Strava, it didn't happen. Enjoy episode 109.
This is serious, mate. This is a KOM, not leading you out. It's a group ride. There's no such thing as a group ride.
Bicycle ride.
5 underhand ways in which you can take your local Strava KOM. Use motor pacing. Try getting your Garmin out, launching it at the last portion of the climb. Wait for strong winds. Where's the wind at? You can just jump in your car. And why not get an e-bike? Because that way, you're still kind of only half cheap.
Hi, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von Duren. Today I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance Mustache live and in concert. Okay. Was that too scary?
Scary.
We're only 1 week into this thing and our intros are falling apart.
Yeah.
Oh, good times.
I've been told that Lance Romance has run its course, and I need to come up with a new nickname. And so at the moment, it's Lance Mustache.
Who told you that Lance Romance has run its course? I need to talk to that person.
People that think it's like creepy.
I'm calling out Brandy on this.
It is creepy.
It wasn't Brandy.
It was not Brandy?
No.
I thought for sure Brandy would tell you that the mustache is
Just
creepy.
If you give him any compliment on that, though, she throws the laser eyes at you like, stop it now.
Okay, I went to her, like, seriously and said, honey, do you really want me to take off the mustache? Because I will. It still makes me laugh every time I see it because it's so bushy and so big. And she just like, if it makes you happy, keep the mustache. Yes.
and very clearly it is making him quite happy. So.
If sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, that is terrible. And then I laugh and I'm like, oh, I'm keeping it. But,
just like scare yourself every time you look in the mirror.
Lance Mustache went way too long on his intro. Sorry.
To his right, Evan Price.
Today I'm drinking Fit Aid. This is not a Red Bull. This isn't anything. It doesn't even have caffeine in it. It's got like a bunch of random stuff in it. Has anybody had one of these before? The
No.
Fit Aids?
No.
It's just marketing.
I don't see this lasting very long. The packaging is very boring. It's not nearly as exciting as our current sponsor. We're still waiting for that Costco, by the way. That check has still not come in. Matt, what are you drinking since we can't see you?
I'm drinking some sort of bubbly water. It's like the homemade variety. I'll bring you guys some next time I'm in studio.
Oh, this is from your Soda Stream, right?
Soda Stream. What do they call it? Yeah, Soda Stream or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty fancy.
Cool. And coming to us via Skype today, Captain Quarantine, Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? We're on the internet.
Yes.
We're doing it, guys. We're doing it this time.
Wouldn't be here without it.
We're really doing it.
How you doing, Matt?
Good.
Good?
Solid.
Caught you right in the middle.
Great.
As far as I know,
cool.
I guess virus-free in 2003. Don't know.
We're all hoping to keep it that way.
Well, let's backpedal. Matt, why don't you go ahead and start us off, bud?
Last week was not great. Let me just say weekly volume was down, probably half the volume that I would normally do, which is my normal volume is not great. So half of that is really not super impressive. That being said, I did get outside and ride a couple times. The weather here has been ridiculous. It's been fantastic. I rode with the Robbie Halterman. He's a legend of our sport time and really our generation. And we rode around, just like cruised around, found cool rides to do. Like literally, it was one of those rides where, which way you want to go? Let's go that way. And then took pictures of barns, which was awesome. And I rode with my kids one day and tried to run some, but I'm dealing with some Achilles stuff. So yeah, tough times.
Fantastic. Evan, you want to backpedal for us?
Yeah, I did. Matt, did you ride out on Saturday? Is that when you were outside?
I think, yeah, I rode a little bit on Saturday. I rode with kids, and then I just went and did a couple of hills.
Yeah.
The weather was definitely reasonable.
Yeah, Saturday's weather was incredible through the afternoon. It got up in, I think, even to the low 60s and was just sunny and clear, which was awesome.
I saw 67 degrees.
67, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we were, so David, Dustin, and I, we were keeping a small group and decided to go out for a ride. We did 3 really cool climbs in the area. We did Livingston, which is one of my personal favorites. We did Larch, and then we went and did Cherry. Has anybody here done Cherry?
Can't say that I have. Where is that at?
Yeah, it's like near Osman Road.
No.
It's kind of so it's right around that same area. It's a sneaky little climb. David's the one who found it for us. But yeah, it's an awesome like little 20-minute effort with some pretty steep pitches in it. Anybody who's looking for a good, really, really isolated climb, that's a good one. I think it's on. I mean, it's really close to Larch. You can get there 5-6 miles away from the base of Larch. But yeah, that was basically my weekend, and then I ran on the treadmill because I have decided, along with Matt, that I'm not going to big group runs for a bit here.
Yeah. We can go ahead and call it right now if we want to temporarily. Let's not call it ban, but like temporarily put off our lakeside long runs. Is that a decision that you and I are making?
Yeah. I think me and Matt decide that large group runs together are probably frowned upon and probably not smart at this
not
moment.
a good idea. Yep.
Yeah. So
we're deciding it now. It's done.
Yep. So we will all need to be FaceTiming in with pictures of lakes behind us while you're running on your treadmill at home, please.
Yeah.
Is how we're gonna do this. We're gonna have the virtual lakeside long run. We'll figure it out. But yeah, ran the treadmill for my long run, and that was basically the weekend. Yeah.
How far did you go?
I went a ways. I went 21 miles on the treadmill.
I don't think that my max is like 2 miles. I can never go far on the treadmill.
I'm pretty good at zoning out. That's for sure. And I probably could have gone a ways longer too, but it's for me it's very easy. Once you get past that first hour, it's, as long as I was watching Mission Impossible, the newest one.
Yeah.
All the Mission Impossibles are the same.
Pretty much.
Cassie really liked it, but I'm going to be honest. They are all, I mean, the storylines even follow the same thing. And now they're just like a caricature of themselves. Like, I don't know.
But I feel like it's just like Tom Cruise, and he's just like, hey, I need a little bit of money, so I'm just going to cash this check.
He still kills it, in my opinion. Tom Cruise plays that part. Nobody else could play that role. Tom Cruise is that man. He's great in that role. But yeah, that's about it.
Printing money for him.
He is. He's basically he's just like, all right, I need a new house. Time to get another Mission Impossible going here.
There you go. Lance, you want to backpedal, bud?
Did you guys notice anything different about me coming in here today?
Your
Crutch
mustache
free.
is
No
slightly
crutches.
larger.
No, the mustache is beautiful. Yes, but no crutches. Yes. As I got in my car to drive over here to the studio, my doctor called me and released me. So I am good to go.
It's a good thing you weren't doing anything prior to that release, correct?
Okay. So I was told I needed to be, non-weight bearing for 4 weeks, and actually 4 weeks is up tomorrow. So
fat
close.
chance, yeah.
Right. And the doctor, as I'm talking to him, he's like, actually, knowing who you are, I'm surprised that you lasted this long.
Yeah,
that's what he said. But yeah,
and I'm sure you told him, yes, I was definitely not weight bearing that whole time.
Well, it actually, the hip was still sore enough that I had to be careful walking, and so the crutches just were a good idea. But literally, like 2 days ago, it quit hurting to walk at all.
Yeah,
and so I quit using the crutches, and I thought, okay, if I don't have to use the crutches, maybe I should buzz around on my bike. So one day, I got on my cyclocross bike and I'm in, pants and, my Vans, and I had like a button-down shirt on or something, and I'm just riding around my driveway. I didn't have a helmet on. Don't listen to this part, but I was just riding around my driveway very slowly. And I rode up to the bridge. I ended up riding like 10 miles.
Circles in your driveway for 10 miles.
No, I ended up like going up Old Evergreen and
that bridge. Okay, I thought you meant you just went around your driveway.
I went up to the 205 bridge, and it was funny. As I'm coming back on the 205 bridge, I see an orange jersey coming towards me, and I'm like, "Oh, who is this? This has to be one of my teammates." And sure enough, it was Catherine.
Okay.
And so she's going past me, and she just blew past me as I yelled, "Kim, what's up?" And she she stopped and came around, and he goes, all I saw was this dude in all black and no helmet and this terrible mustache, and I thought you were a homeless person. She thought I was a homeless person. I'm like, that is fantastic.
That's the exact thought I would have had too. I'd be like, on the 205 bridge, and like, who is this guy?
Right. I'm like, no, it's because I wasn't in kit or anything. And so after that, after just, kind of johnning around, the next day I said, Brandy, let's go ride. Let me just go slow and see how it feels. And it was actually, so Brandy and I went out for like an hour and a half, and I rode my gravel bike, and she rode her road bike, and I just stayed seated so I didn't push too many watts. I tried to ride mostly one-legged, which is also difficult to do. But it was really good for me and Brandy. The weather was beautiful. We could stay together. It was really nice. So yeah, I rode like an hour and a half that day, and then
worth it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then the next day it was so beautiful again. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go out for like 3 hours. And she's like, what, really? And I'm like, yeah, let's just see how it goes. And so I jumped on my bike and started to head out. And sure enough, I headed towards Crown Point, and I must have seen 50 other cyclists, not all together. Everybody was distanced. Everybody was apart, but we ran into a whole bunch of people. I must have seen 10 people I know or race with, including Jake and Sean and Nels and some other teammates and some other people I race with. And it was just everybody had the same idea. It's like, it started to rain today, so it was like, okay, this is our last nice day.
Yeah.
Let's kind of go out. So I'm like, I'm brimming right now. The world is still burning down, but I am so excited that I can start riding again.
Yes.
So it'll be back on the trainer for
That's
a while.
a good positive thing right there.
Yeah.
That's one of the better positive things that came from this week, is that you healed well from that, and it was definitely not nearly as bad as that accident could have been, which is awesome. So
yeah, I'm just really pleased with how that went. So
good.
Yeah.
Happy to see you back out there getting after it.
Thank you.
That's good for the old psyche too.
Yes.
So, cool. I did a little bit of riding myself outside this week, which I was only able to ride outside twice because my shoulder is an a-hole. I've decided that I'm going to brand it as an a-hole. It just sucks. And I have an appointment scheduled with my doc the first week of April, and I have a sneaking suspicion it's probably going to get canceled. I've been on a cancellation list to be called in the event that, I can come in sooner. And this is well before all the coronavirus stuff even started to happen. Never got a call. And I have to imagine that they've had quite a few cancellations since then, but I'm guessing that they're just not taking patients on at this point in time. So probably won't get to see the doc for a good long time. And my shoulder hurts every single day, all day long, and it's getting really super old. So I don't know. Anyway, I did a cool gravel ride with Sean, and it was totally worth it because it was beautiful out, and it hurt, and it kept me from riding on the bike again until yesterday when I rode out to the Crown Point area with Sean and Nels, and Ian hooked up with us, and we saw you out there, and we saw Stefan and Paul first. We saw Terry Hamness, and it's just like we kept seeing more and more people.
Seeing people.
It's just all these people out there. I'm like, hey, there's another orange jersey. What's up, friends? And just other people like you were saying that we race with, so see everybody getting that out
I
of
was
the
super
system.
happy Brandy was able to get out there with me too. She hasn't ridden out there without stopping, and she totally nailed
Did great,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Trucking right
great,
along.
So
that's good.
I did have one kind of cool thing that we saw yesterday. It was like a parade of supercars.
Oh.
No joke. There must have been like 15-ish. Might have been more, but just all these like super nice, super expensive like Lamborghinis, and there was a McLaren in there. I think there was a Ferrari or two in there.
Oh,
and they
wow.
were just out doing a little ride, a little rally, if you will. And we were sitting in a spot where they're coming around a corner, and they all would like just kind of nail it a little bit on this long straightaway. And it's just incredible to hear those things wind up and just go. It's like, my God, I was thankful that we were actually stopped both times that we saw them. and not on the road while they were driving because they were going a little bit over the speed limit, but it was still kind of neat to see.
Crown Point is apparently a spot where a lot of people with at least the older nice cars will stop and take pictures, because I've gone on rides there before and seen the parade of like 100 of them come by coming back from Crown Point. I think that's a pretty popular spot for them to stop and try and take cool pictures with their car, which I mean makes sense. It's a beautiful lookout point. So
Anyway, that was my weekend or my week. Nothing glorious.
Love it.
I think that our our back pedal is going to be kind of a little bit boring, if you will. So, Matt, you already did your back pedal. Evan, you did yours. Lance, you did yours. Champ Bailey. Is Champ Bailey in the house?
Champ Bailey?
Champ Bailey's been laid
Canceled.
Canceled.
Champ Bailey's looking for other work.
He got furloughed.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do the lead out news because there's really not much news, at least not this week. There's nothing.
I don't think was there. So I know when we talked about it last week, going into this kind of worldwide shutdown. Now there were still some sporting events that had happened. I don't think.
No.
Outside of, I mean, we could turn this into an online gaming forum. Matt, would you be down with that?
Talking about Zwift racing?
Should we just talk about? Yeah, we should start broadcasting Zwift racing from here.
The only news to share potentially is that most of the cycling community is trying to put pressure on the Olympic Committee to actually postpone the Olympics, and it hasn't happened yet. That could be life-altering again, like we all are altered for a lot of those athletes if the Olympics actually get canceled or postponed. I can't imagine. I think they're scheduled for
when do the Olympics begin?
It's like August, September.
It's late summer, isn't it?
I thought it was July, to be honest, but I could be wrong.
I don't know for sure, but I know that there's some pressure to get that.
I think they're going to push it back an entire year.
I think so, too, and it's probably the smartest thing to do. So.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, you got to think people. If you're an Olympic swimmer right now and you can't swim, that's ridiculous.
Yes, that's right.
We should just not let the swimmer swim for one full year and then just throw them in the pool and race and see who's got the best natural ability.
Who has most talent?
Yeah, who's got the talent?
July 24th through August 9th.
That's what I thought. It was July, which I put those odds at. Because when we're talking about starting sporting events again, there's one thing between starting sporting events and doing the Olympics, which is everybody traveling from every country. The biggest, I mean, there is no larger group activity than the Olympics.
And teams can't get together to practice.
Train, all that, yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm guessing that's probably going to happen.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned.
Yep.
So how about instead of lead out news, we just run around real quick and tell everybody one good thing.
Oh, God.
Just one good thing. Just kind of cheer everybody up.
My son joined Strava yesterday.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I follow him now. I follow him. I got an alert, and it was like there was like one other person following him, and it was you.
It was me.
And I was like, you know what? He needs a second follower.
He actually spent most of last week here at home with us, but had to go back to Utah. And when he left, I sent him with a bike.
You did?
I did.
Really?
Yeah. So
is he getting the bug, or is he just kind of curious, or?
I think he's a little curious. He has a friend that rides in Utah and so because the gyms are closed down and all this other things are closed down, he thought I should take advantage of this, especially since my dad has a garage full of bikes.
There you go.
So I sent him home with like my old cyclocross pit bike and put road tires on it for him and swap some things out. And,
nice.
Yeah. So
cool.
So yeah, so that's kind of fun. That's my one good thing is
that's good.
Got any good news, Evan?
My grandmother got to go outside yesterday. That was cool. My mom took her out in her wheelchair and she was able to go outside. Back in Ohio, this is not in Washington. Back in Ohio, where Ohio has a stay-at-home policy right now, and my grandmother was quarantined for a little bit, so she got outside.
Grandfather able to see her?
I do not believe so. No, not right now. He's staying put right now where he's at in long-term stay. So,
gotcha.
Yeah,
Matt, you got any good news?
I think there's less cars on the road.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
and I think the people that are out there potentially might be nicer.
I don't know about that.
we
had dream. Can I just pretend like them?
I know Jake was telling some about this before, Matt, but David, Dustin, and I had really nice passes and super nice people, except we had one guy drive by us and throw an apple core at David's head, which to me is like, when we're talking about transmitting of a virus, I think eating an apple and then chucking it at somebody's face would be a pretty direct way to, that's just mind-boggling that the people are that stupid out there. But be careful, folks.
That's crazy.
Man, that's terrible. But I would have to agree with you, Matt. There are definitely less drivers out there, and I will take that every day of the week. So I would like to see one thing come out of this, though. Everybody's getting really good at this whole social distancing thing, understanding what 6 feet is. Can we not adopt that for the road for cars to give cyclists a 6-foot berth now that everybody's going to know what the 6 foot is? And people talk about, well, 6 feet really isn't that much. Well, think about you passing your massive vehicle by me with only 3 feet.
Right.
Maybe 6 feet needs to be the new norm. Right?
Yeah.
You get an amen on that?
I'm all for that. Yep.
Awesome. The other thing that I think could be good about this is if you take this opportunity to actually do weeks and weeks or months of, say, sweet spot intervals, your endurance power is going to skyrocket. So,
yep.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of reason to do really high-end stuff right now without races coming around the corner, unless you're going for segments or race on Zwift.
Yeah.
But lots of sweet spot intervals can really help your endurance power. So.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Cool. Let's jump into our topic for today. We're going to revisit Strava. Remember we had that conversation way back when? Talked about it ad nauseum forever. Super long episode, and there were still a lot of things that we didn't even scratch the surface on. So I wanted to revisit Strava and have us talk about some stuff that's been going on over there in Strava land, some recent updates, different plugins that you can use for Chrome extensions, some updates maybe that we want to see, talk about other things about Strava versus Garmin, and some hacks, tips, trips, all that other stuff, tricks, tips, and hacks. I'm stumbling over my words today, guys. I'm tired. My shoulder doesn't let me sleep very well at night. I have a hard enough time with that as it is. So anyway, let's get this thing started. First of all, let's talk about kind of like, I'll let Lance kind of maybe elaborate on this a little bit more because I think he's got the information up. But back in November, the CEO of Strava was released from the company. I think he was actually given the opportunity to resign. But tell us a little bit more what happened there.
Basically, there's 2 guys that were San Francisco based that started Strava. The
Correct.
2 co-founders. Their names are Mark Gainey and Michael Horvath. And one of them was a very successful tech guy, startup
Silicon
guy.
Valley guy.
Yeah, Silicon Valley guy. Had done a couple things, and he'd been quote unquote retired for a couple years, and decided to make a run at this Strava thing. And so they started this Strava thing. Well, anyway, the current CEO, which wasn't one of these 2 guys, they weren't really happy with the direction that he was going.
Yeah.
And so they ended up with the board of directors. They removed the CEO, and now the 2 co-founders are back, returned with the company.
Was it the Mark Gainey who stepped in as the new CEO?
I believe so.
Something like that, yeah. So I think one of the things that they were kind of bemoaning about, is that the company really wasn't solvent. It wasn't really making money, and he kept pushing it in a direction that was kind of a direction that he wanted to see it go, but not necessarily what the end user was wanting. So they started making some changes, and I think the first change that we saw was the recent update that came out. Just dumb little things, but people actually are standing up and applauding this. The first and foremost thing is like you can now go and like change your feed. If you follow a lot of people, it's kind of nice to see what everybody's going, but you can change your feed to a chronological order as opposed to them kind of pushing what they think you should see, what's quote unquote popular. I've never liked that rhythm or that algorithm where they put your feed in based on what they think you're going to want to see. I'd rather just have that chronological order, and you know when you're done, and you're done.
Right. The algorithm was supposed to people that you had ridden with or been close to, or people that you looked at their things. That was the way the algorithm was supposed to work, but I think it annoyed more people than anybody.
Yeah.
And so they brought
What's interesting is a long time ago, Facebook did the same thing. I think this was quite a while ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. They switched over their whole feed. And what was interesting is there's huge backlash when Facebook did it. It used to be chronological, and then they switched it to this algorithm-based feed. And people were furious. People were like threatening to leave Facebook, all this stuff. And Facebook was basically started to backpedal, saying like, okay, we hear you. We understand all this stuff. And then Facebook took another like breather, and they looked at the numbers, and they were getting like double the engagement through their feeds when they actually used the algorithm. And so they stuck it out. And this is, I'm not saying that like Strava should do one way or the other, but it turned out for Facebook that it was more profitable for them to use this algorithm-based feed. I don't know that that's like the same for Strava. I think all of us kind of prefer having chronological. And I personally, I kind of think Facebook should do the same thing. I mean, great, like your profits are better, but it's a better user experience when people see it chronologically. It makes more sense to us. So I don't know. It depends on what their bottom line is. Maybe it's for profits and that's what they care about, and they want people to spend more time on their platform, and maybe they have advertisements in the future. I don't know what the plan is for Strava, but there's a flip side to the coin for sure.
How does Strava make money?
Their memberships.
Their
premiums.
So really, they're not making much money then, right? Because I mean, the real way is advertisements is where the money is with this stuff, correct?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think they probably weighed their option. They probably have thought like, hey, if we put advertisements, they can probably calculate about what they'll make with advertisements.
Yeah.
And probably decided that memberships was more profitable.
Okay.
I'm guessing. They may still, it'd be one thing to say like, hey, if you have a premium account, you don't get advertising.
That's what I would suggest. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
sure that's an option.
Wasn't that kind of YouTube's of all evolution? It's just
YouTube for a long time just said, send us all your content and we'll put it up for free, no advertising. And they did that for a long time. And everyone was like, you're going to go bankrupt. You're paying for all these servers. Like, you're going to be, and then they slowly introduced advertising, and it was like, oh, we're like one of the most profitable companies ever. So, of course, they were already purchased by Google at that point. But
yeah.
With Strava, it's still a private company, so they don't release any financial information. So we don't exactly know where they're at.
Okay. They're not publicly shared or anything like
no.
that? Okay.
Yeah. So
how long does it usually take something? I mean, Strava's been out for how many years now?
Wow.
I actually don't know that.
It was like 2003.
Okay,
I
so
say.
they've been out for a long while.
It was 2009 or 2008.
I was going to say,
Pardon me.
2003
2009.
is early.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah, founded in 2009.
Yeah, I started
2003. Matt was like in diapers at that point, weren't you, Matt?
I think Twitter started in 2003, and I think I was one of the early adopters to Twitter. Strava, I feel like all of us kind of jumped on Strava pretty quick.
You got on Twitter. What did Matt's first year of Twitter account look like? I'd be
That's
very.
a great question. I don't really use Twitter anymore, but when it first started, so a lot of the software developers were going to conferences, and we were using Twitter, and we were just talking about the conference.
Okay.
And so it started primarily, it was for developers, and developers were using it to just post, and talk about stuff. And then once famous people got on there, it was significantly different. So that took a couple years.
So this is like Matt LeGrand was like number 3 in follows on Twitter for like a month, and then Tom Cruise got on there and just blew you out of the water.
It was, yeah. I mean, I probably it's nothing. I don't know how many Twitter followers I have. I don't really pay attention to that, but I'm sure I was on Twitter before Tom Cruise, whatever that's worth.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have 313 followers.
Wow.
And I joined in 2007. So
2007. Okay.
So that's when they started. I assume that they started.
Oh my gosh, that's 13 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been on Strava since I think it was 2010 or 2011. So we're coming up on 10 years ish. It was not too long after they first launched. So, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. There's never been a time that I've ever thought that Strava was a problem, and it's given me nothing but good positive stuff with respect to cycling. I think it's a phenomenal platform.
It was
initially released in 2009.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I have a neighbor who rides quite a bit that I've done a lot of riding with, and it super irritates me that he's not on Strava. I shouldn't let it irritate me, but I'm like, I want to see when you're riding or what you're doing. I know where you've gone. We can go out. I'll ride with you. Not right now, but
yeah. Not being on Strava is like the equivalent of almost like a flip phone now in the endurance world. It's like you're that flip phone type. Yeah. Now I do remember when I was it was only like a year or two. It was during this podcast when I was still manually uploading to Strava. There's a real stigma about people who manually upload out there. Let me be So I think we need to break down that stigma. If you're out there still manually uploading, good for you. Okay.
By manually uploading, are you talking about like you're going in there and you're typing in I rode 13 miles and I rode for this long and that's it? Okay.
People got really mad at me that I wasn't uploading to Strava. So I said, okay, I'll start uploading to Strava. But I was still just going off my old Garmin watch and I wouldn't use the GPS. It was just a timer.
Yeah.
So I would go on the loops that I knew. I just plug in whatever that distance was about and the time that it took me manually and just say outdoor ride. People are like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? And I was like, this isn't how this works.
So going back to that first release that they came out with the chronological order, that doesn't just happen. So if you're using Strava and you're going and you look at your feed and you're like, well, this isn't chronological. This is bouncing all over the place and it's showing me all kinds of people. You actually have to go in and you have to change it in the settings. So and that's a pretty simple process when you go into your settings just to change it to the chronological.
And it can be done on the app or on on the
I kind of like the algorithm that they use. Matt, did you like the algorithm I like seeing the people that I generally follow or am interested in coming up first so I don't have to scroll too far.
It depends.
I don't know.
It depends on how many followers or how many people you follow.
I follow like 500 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Be a little bit annoying myself, because I have quite a few people that I follow as well, and it doesn't always show me all of the people that I want to see, and that's a lot of rides to have to scroll through to see what was going on. So
you probably just go onto the dialed team page, right?
Sometimes,
if you want to see where the team is.
But in addition to that update, there's actually an option for you to go in there and actually favorite people. So I could go in there and favorite Matt, Evan, and Lance, and we'll put them up at the top of the feed, if you will, and it will also send me a notification of when you guys upload a ride. I'm like, oh, Lance just got done with a ride. Let's go see what he did.
I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So it kind of, for Evan, just like what you were talking about, like, hey, I like the algorithm. Well, chronological is better. I'm just going to say it. And you can favorite the people that you want to keep an eye on, and then you always know what's up.
My opinion on social platforms should probably be really, take it with a grain of salt. So.
Lance, how many people follow you on Strava?
Let's see who has the most Strava followers here. Matt, go.
It's got to be Lance. Oh, I'm only 231. No, 295.
295. You probably beat me. Oh my God, I have 293. Matt, you got me by 2.
Our listeners have the choice of listening or following Evan or me.
Oh, come on. No. Two people listening to this. Evan Price. It's just Evan Price, 2 different words. Follow me, 3 of you. Right now.
I bet Jake has more than me.
No.
Lance, how many do you have?
606.
Oh, Matt, we're toast. There's no chance.
Well, I knew for a fact. Well, but look at what Lance does. He has a lot of fun out biking.
Yeah.
And you run on a treadmill for 21 miles.
Why would people not want to follow that? If anybody gets the chance, look at the picture I took during that run. I was trying to take the picture while I was running, and it just turned out so blurry. So now
Hold on. Let me follow you, Evan. I don't follow you.
Jake, how many followers do you have?
I've got 514.
Okay. I'm the winner.
Yeah. I'm in last place. That is very. I deserve to be in last place for how I post.
I did go through and weed out a bunch of people that were following me though. Just like random people from I don't know if they're bots or whatnot. It's more like these people. I don't know, like in the Eastern Asian countries that will go through and they'll follow every single club that they can find.
GP Llama was one that followed me for a while and liked everything, and I had no idea. The guy's from Finland or something like that. I don't know.
He's like a famous YouTuber.
Really?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's really good.
I have no idea.
That should actually be kind of an honor for you, to be honest with you.
No, I'm sure he wasn't let me find that Evan Price guy. He probably just
You never know. But yeah,
GP Llama's fan. Oh, okay, that's cool.
But these people were on there, and they follow every single club that they can follow, and then they go through all of the clubs, and they friend every single person, or they like every single person. And I think if you get caught up in one of those things, and one person sees that they followed you, then all of a sudden 10 of their friends, and I had a bunch of those. I'm like, I don't need. I wasn't trying to be a jerk, but I'm like, I don't need these people infiltrating my Strava.
Is anybody getting followed now by? So once a week, I do the different types of racing leagues in Zwift, and one of them is it's like the Japanese race, the JRL league or something. I forget the name of the league.
Okay.
But now I'm getting followed by a bunch of those guys I just race because we just look at each other's Stravas and we'll just follow each other.
That's kind of cool because there's interaction there.
Yeah.
These other guys were just looking for
some
follow backs.
Strong guys too.
Yeah, these guys were looking how many followers can I get on my Strava?
God, yeah.
I just didn't want to be a part of that. So
no.
Lance probably kept all of his, right?
Yeah, what do I care?
Jake's over here making these comments, but that is actually what Lance does. Lance is like liking people in Finland, being like, follow my Strava profile.
I only follow like 400. I think I follow about 400 people.
I follow twice as many as I have followers, which is probably a sign of how lonely of a person you are, is how many more you follow than people follow you.
I think there's a couple
cool
people
to watch
who
the
listen
pros,
to the
though.
podcast who have followed me from around the country.
Sure.
And those people I will follow back and kind of keep tabs on them. And, like our listener, Jerry, he
Jerry.
followed me on
Jerry
Strava, followed him
Delport.
back. And it's kind of neat to see what he's up to. So
Yeah, I track Jerry's stuff all the time.
yeah, that kind
Good
of
on
stuff
you,
to do
Jerry.
with.
Good
Yeah.
on you.
Anyway, moving on, there's the other feature, the auto flagging for accuracy feature. That one I actually really appreciate.
That is good.
For
A
those
good
of you
addition.
that have a couple KOMs out there, and then all of a sudden you'll get a notification that such and such just took your KOM, and you know that it's like an uphill climb, and you're like killing yourself at 18 miles an hour, and some jackhole went flying up this hill at like 35 or 40 miles an hour and took your KOM because they were in the car. Yeah. Not happening, buddy.
Yeah.
Strava says no.
Says when I finally snag Lake Road, it's going to flag it as an inhuman effort. It's going to say there's no way that you beat Jake. That was an inhuman effort.
No, that's just me flagging you.
Jake flags it each time.
You can respond to the flag, and
Can you?
yes.
Can you challenge the flag?
Yes, you can.
Oh, that's cool.
You can say no. This is legit.
Is
You
there-
have to do it on the computer. You can't do it on.
Is there like
on
a
the app.
Supreme Court of Strava where you have to like bring the case and evidence?
I don't know how they finally decide, but you can say no. This was legit. I actually did this. Yes, there was a 40-mile-an-hour tailwind at my back, but it's legit. I did.
Yeah.
So
Within humanly possible scenarios, and like if wind is a factor, then wind is a factor. That's not a flaggable offense. But usually, if you have a heart rate monitor and a power meter, which most of us use, you can use that in your favor. You can say, listen, just look at the metrics that are right
Hey,
there.
Matt, do you want to drive the minivan and I'll draft the minivan and then we can just take Lake Road?
yeah.
We'll just
I mean, we could do that. We could hook a little cable up to it. We could just drive the minivan slowly up
we'll
the
just
hill.
cable
There's a
me
lot
to
of
it.
stuff we can
that's
do.
perfect. That'd be even better.
one of the things they changed is you can split rides now too. When you can edit a ride and split it.
Really?
Really nice, yeah.
Yeah. Before you could like shorten a ride, but you couldn't split it into two rides. So case in point, I did this 100-mile ride like a year ago, and there was one segment where I got on the bumper of a box truck. Well, you know how easy it is to sit on the bumper of a box truck, like sit like 2 feet
You
away.
go 50 miles an hour easy.
I was doing like 48 or something. And of course it got flagged right away, which it should have. It was like a 4-mile segment, and I did it in like 3 minutes. I mean,
putting
it
out
was,
like 200 watts.
Yeah.
right? Putting out like 110 watts. It was pretty low, and so what I was able to do, and it was like halfway through this 100-mile ride. So I was able to split the ride, make it 2 different rides, and cut out that section where I drafted the truck, and then the rest of those numbers were still
Intact.
intact, which
There you
was
go.
kind of
Believe
nice.
that there were other programs out there that you can use, and I'll have to look this up because this is probably another little thing that we could talk about today. But when you have usually we've all had this happen, like our Garmin will die, and then you all of a sudden want to get the rest of your ride, so you pull out your phone, you hit start on your phone, and there's a way that you can stitch those together, and it's actually pretty simple. There's websites that you use. You just upload the 2 files, it stitches it together, and spits out a full GXP file.
And then you upload that.
Yeah.
Or you can just edit the GPX file.
Yeah, the GPX file.
Evan has no idea what we're talking about.
No. You know, the GPX file.
Do you even know what a GPX file is?
It's
like XML.
It's like a TPS report. and I'll get you to them by the end of the weeks. Office Space joke. Anyway.
Oh, that's funny. So the last one would be the Apple Watch integration. I don't personally use an Apple Watch, and I think the only one here who does is Lance.
Yeah.
What's going on there? How does this work?
So basically, if you recorded a workout on your Apple Watch on their health kit, or if you not on your Strava app on your watch, but if you record a run on your Apple Watch.
Okay.
You couldn't upload those to Strava. They wouldn't go to Strava. They didn't make them compatible. They
Gotcha.
fixed that with this.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the
That's a good sign for Strava that starting to get bigger, and probably being able to cooperate more with these larger companies. So, yeah.
So it was something that was needed, but I think most serious Strava users don't use
Apple Watches.
No, don't use the health kit. Don't record runs on their watch unless they're using the Strava.
No.
You can download the Strava app on your watch.
My iPhone health app records that I walk roughly 1,000 steps a day and is telling me constantly that I am in very dangerous health at this time. Like I am immensely unhealthy according to my watch.
It's all the bags of chips you're eating.
I think so.
I think recording that.
I should start plugging in the amount of calories I eat in a day, but just leave the activity at 1,000 steps a day and see what Apple tells me.
That's fine. How about some cool plugins that work with Chrome, like the plugin extensions? There's the one that I think most of us know about, the Strava Sauce. What do you guys think about these things?
I actually didn't know about Strava Sauce until you mentioned it.
Was there one in particular that you use or about?
I've used Elevate, which I think is just older than Strava Sauce and slightly different. But I think what you're looking at is these are plugins that you can put in your browser. And correct me if I'm wrong. That gives you, it's still looking at the same data file, the same GPX files, and it's giving you a lot more metrics on top of what Strava already gives you. And they're free, and they don't require you to have a Strava premium membership.
So here's the biggest thing with these is they only work on your computer browser. They don't,
and it has to be Chrome.
It works with Firefox. As
does
well.
it? Okay.
It works with Firefox and it works with Chrome. But they work best on Chrome. And so it only works if you're looking at these files on your computer. But, oh, my goodness, it
spits out a lot of data.
It does, and it's good. So the two that I use are Strava Sauce and Elevate. I use both of them because they kind of do some different things, and it just gives you better numbers. Strava has its own metrics, which don't seem to match up with Training Peaks or your Garmin Connect. They have different metrics, and this puts all those metrics that you actually like to see, like normalized power,
correct,
which you don't see in regular Strava,
or
like your TSS score, or your training stress score. All those go directly onto your thing if you use these apps. So.
Yeah, you get really neat breakouts of your power numbers. In Strava, when you go to look at the power numbers, a lot of times you're like, all right, what's going on here? This does not mesh up with what it says in Garmin Connect. Honestly, on the whole, I pretty much ignore the power numbers in Strava.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I think
absolutely ignore them.
It's not as good, no.
I feel like this is an area that they're missing the mark. So, for instance, our ride that we did yesterday, we rode for 60 miles. It was 2 hours and 50 minutes, and you can go in there, and I can take a look at my peak power breakdown. So, there's a 5-second, 15-second, 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, 20 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, and 3 hour average watts. So it's kind of neat to be able to go in there and see what zones you were working in, how long you were holding these numbers, and what your peak numbers were.
Evan's looking at my ride from yesterday, and my 5-second peak power was...
We just talked about this.
600. It was 647 watts. Maybe I got out of the saddle one time.
We just got done talking with riding's great right now. We just got to slowly progress back the power so that area can heal, stabilize, and adapt appropriately after your injury.
Yeah. And that's hard to see. This is right on the page of your watch.
The cool part about this is very cool. It breaks down all your peak powers, which is your 5, your 10, your 20, your minute. 2, 5, 10,
Here's
20.
the other thing. If you click on it, it shows you the
even shows you the
breakout
effort
of that exactly. And if you hit the little button that says analysis view, it shows you exactly on the ride where it was at.
That's pretty cool.
So find out where you stood up. Where did you do that?
It was... okay, let's see. I think it was at the very end.
Right at the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were going uphill. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was the very end of my ride. I was going up the hill right next to my house.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, I was coming off of Old Evergreen Highway, going up this
exact hill you're talking about
little
too.
pitch.
Yeah.
And I
it's a tough one. Yeah. That's a tough one to keep the power down on.
That's why.
Yeah, it just gives you such great information, though. You've got your your speed that you were going for that particular bit of time. You've got where exactly it was at.
Yeah.
Your watts. It'll give you your watts per kilogram. It'll talk about how much energy you put out. Your number of kilojoules, if you will. Your TSS from that particular segment, not just the whole entire ride, but you can look at your
from that segment.
Yeah,
it gives you everything that you would need to look at there. I mean, and it's actually really digestible. I know this sounds like a lot of data from what we're talking about right now, but this is really digestible.
Yeah, it's easy to look at things.
What was your most impressive number from yesterday, given your current status, your health status, if you will?
Oh, I'm just super pleased that
Did you keep it mostly in check?
I did keep it mostly in check.
Good.
Like my 1 hour power was 163. So
that's good.
Yeah, I kept it down.
It's very good.
Yeah. And that was my best 1 hour power on that 3 hour ride. So it means I actually managed things until
on the whole. But if you start looking at some of those those more narrow or focused numbers,
yes.
like you talked about your 5 second, but what about your 15, 30, and 1 minute?
The 1 minute was 300 watts.
A little high.
Yeah, a little high.
A little high there, buddy.
The 15 second was 612 watts. It was a little high.
No, I don't know this. No, you can. So I can actually go into your file and I can look and see what you did. So it's a really good thing for like a coach to be able to go in there and take a look at it and say, hey, I told you, like if I'm Lance's coach and I told him, Lance, you need to keep it in check and you need to not do this, that, and the other. I can go in here and look and see where he was spot on and where he missed the mark and go kick him in the butt and break his other ass tab.
Yes.
There you go.
Right.
Yep. Make his recovery a little bit longer.
Yeah. It's a pretty neat little function. The Elevate, what's different, Matt? If you're still there, Matt, can you tell us a little bit about the Elevate? Really, what kind of information? That you're looking from there?
It's probably best for Lance to talk about some of that stuff, just because I'm not sure what the differences are.
Well, so here's the problem. I don't know either, because when I put Strava sauce on my
it's hard
web
to tell
browser,
what's what.
I did both at the same time. I added Elevate and Strava sauce at the same time. So I don't know which is which.
So it shows you both things at the same time?
Yeah.
So you're getting all kinds of information there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what I see is extended stats, and you have like just a breakdown of different zones for heart rate, how much time you're in, all this stuff. Some of the stuff you would pay for with the Strava Premium account. For me, it's got speed and a lot of different zones for speed, power. Same kind of thing. And again, this is, using the estimated power because I didn't have a power meter on my road bike. What I really like is the power curve stuff. And again, your power curve it's looking at like what was your best power at like 1 second or 2 seconds or 20 seconds, all the way out to like 20 minutes or more. And I think that that's interesting because it should follow kind of that exponential curve. And if you use stuff like that over a long enough period of time, you can do stuff like estimate your FTP. And so I think that there's some interesting metrics that are excellent and that Strava will not provide. They have some things like grading the ride that you did, whether it's a hilly ride or a flat ride or whatever. They just kind of have like their own little grading thing. So stuff like that I think is nice.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest differences. You have this whole nother block of information right below, on the right side, which it shows your watts per kilogram for that ride. It shows your
extra metrics.
Yeah, it shows your best power. It shows you a lot of other things. The other thing that I think is interesting, and I'm not sure which one it comes from, is if you scroll down to the segments section, it actually, so for each segment, you always look at the segments and it tells you, what your time was and where you were for the year or whatever, and what your intensity, what your heart rate was, what your power was for that segment. But it also shows you how many seconds you are off from the actual KOM.
That's cool.
How many seconds you're off from your own PR, and how many seconds you're off from your own best time of the year.
Okay.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That must be Elevate, right?
That must be Elevate, because you don't see those, Jake.
I don't.
Yeah. That must be Elevate. So it kind of gives you all this new information on all the segments as well. So that's kind of cool.
I like that. Anything else you guys want to talk about with respect to Strava Sauce or Elevate, or are there any other plugins that you guys know of, or are those pretty much the two that you need?
We should ask our listeners, because I bet you they're going to be like, oh, you don't know about these 5 extra plugins that are absolutely amazing, and that's going to be fantastic.
There's
I'm excited about that.
Like really early on Strava followers who have like everything plugged in that they can.
Oh, real quick, going back to Strava Sauce, what do you think about like when you put in an effort and you look at a segment and it knows all the data about you, obviously, and it will give you a categorization based on like how you performed in that segment. It'll tell you like you're a Cat 4, you're a Cat 5, or you're a Cat 3. This is a Cat 3 effort right here.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's pretty spot on?
Well, I think it depends on the state. Is that a Colorado too, or is that a?
That's a good question.
You know, is that a Alabama, calling out your home state, Matt? Alabama Cat
there
2.
It is.
Is that?
You're going to get a lot of hate mail now.
I know. I'm going to get so much.
Well, here's a good example. When we did the Jack Frost time trial, our own Chris Hannell, who just turned 50 years old this past week. Happy birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday, Chris.
He put in quite the effort out there at the Jack Frost time trial and had one of the faster times on the day on a road bike. He was 29 minutes over the 20K. And I haven't looked myself, but I was talking with Sean Martin, and he said that based on the Strava Sauce that they have him as a Cat 1 effort on that Jack Frost time trial.
Wow.
Which I don't know if I would necessarily disagree with given his weight. I think he's probably, around 150 pounds?
Chris is absolutely. I mean, we've all ridden with Cat 1 riders before. Chris is absolutely
and
Cat 1.
And he put out, I think it was like 345 watts for that 29 minutes. That's quite the effort. So
yeah, Chris is without a doubt well within what I would consider to be Cat 1 road ability.
Yeah.
Definitely.
On the road scene, there's not too many people in that 50-year-old age bracket that are as strong as him.
No.
Get Lance back into his shape, and then locally we've got
I
a
still
few
can't
other...
hang with Chris, even in good shape. I can't hang with
There really
him.
are not many people that can actually hang with Chris on his day. Yeah.
That guy puts it to people. Doesn't matter what their age are. And he doesn't seem to get any slower. He's just getting faster as he ages. So anyway, that was kind of another neat little thing for that particular plugin.
Speaking of Strava, did anybody see Robert's ride from like yesterday, I think?
No, what did they do?
Or like 100 miles in like 245 normalized power.
Oh, wow.
Just like a training shout out there from Strava. Yeah. This is the thing about Strava too, is you can, I mean, there's like almost like this training pressure you can see from it too. I think it can be really positive in some ways where it's, you know, we can look at all these metrics of each other, which is awesome, but it can also be like, you can really get in the woods with looking at your competition.
Yeah. One of the beautiful things I try to follow as many of my main competitors as possible because I want to see.
It's like watching film for football.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to see what they're doing. I want to see if and you're right. Like this last month, it's been terrible because
it's awful. Yeah. You should have been off Strava.
I'm not right.
You really should have been off Strava.
All these people are doing all this rides. So that can be the good and the bad about it. I ran into another teammate on the ride yesterday.
Ian Gibson.
No, why can't I think of his name right now? It's not Chino. It was Souk.
Yeah.
Souk. Yeah.
Oh, Souk.
I ran into Souk, and he's like, we were talking with him, and it was me and my wife Brandy and him, and he's like, I had to stop. He just had a baby like 2 years ago.
A couple years ago,
and him and his wife were on separate schedules.
Uh-huh.
So his riding time just tanked because if he's not at work, he's taking care of the kid.
Yep.
So I totally get that, and he's like, yeah, I had to quit following you and Brandy on Facebook because it just made me too depressed. And then I had to stop following you on Strava as well because it was just too much for me to see all this stuff you guys were doing. And I totally get that.
So he unfollowed you.
He unfollowed us.
Straight up unfollowed you?
Yeah, straight up unfollowed us because it was
Lance,
like...
you're about to lose about 300 followers.
Matt, we are closing it. He's dropped one. We're just going to creep up on him slowly one at a time.
Everyone should follow Evan Price because he just runs on treadmills. He will make
Exactly.
you feel so good about yourself.
I will make you feel better about yourself. You'll be like, thank God I don't do what that guy does because that looks awful.
But, then he gets... So that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I like to follow my competitors is I want to see what they're doing. And maybe I could be doing something that they are so that's part of it. However, you can easily, if you don't want your competitors to see your rides, you just make your ride private and they don't see it.
This is like a thing in the triathlon world too. Matt, I'm sure you've seen this in the Strava running world because the Strava running world I think is a little bit different than the Strava cycling world. Is the propensity for people to put up like recovery run at like 6:32 pace,
Right.
and you're like, okay, I mean you're fit, but like it's kind of quick for a recovery run, and it's just like this almost, especially in running, you really should be running the prescribed run, just like in cycling you should be doing, and not in your head thinking what's going to look impressive when I upload this. Like how awesome can I make this workout look for when it goes up onto Strava?
Yeah, I just don't pay attention that much to other people's stuff. I mean, when I see something like, 100 miles at 245 watts, I'm like, that's, thumbs up, and that's it, and I move on, right? So I just,
Matt,
for running stuff, I guess I do pay attention to a couple of like my old friends that are still really strong runners, and so I'll glance at like average pace and whatever it is, and I'm like, they are fast still, and I'm running 10-minute pace, but
you're a father of 3 and happy with your life and everything. For those of us that are still wildly insecure about where we place in the people we're racing, you stock this stuff almost religiously to where you're like, what was that Zwift workout? Where's their wattage right now, and what kind of pace are they running off the bike?
Yeah.
The other thing about following like local people is you see different routes.
Exactly.
You can see
Yes.
new places to ride.
I really
better
want you guys
places
to do this
ride.
cherry climb. I had no idea this was even out there until it's a great climb.
You can convert somebody's ride to a route and follow the route as well, right on your Garmin, which is quite nice.
That's what David does each time we go on a ride, which is great. He's just the navigator for it. But he just uploads a cool route and we go.
But that's beauty.
Yeah, the whole route thing on there too is pretty fantastic. I mean, I think it's pretty well done. I don't know if there's much that I would change about it, but we use that every single day at training camp.
Yes.
That's, Chris, again, coming back to Chris Handel, he would create the route, we would talk about it, and then he would finalize it and put it on his Strava routes, and then everybody would just go into his profile, go to routes, and then they would star that particular route, and then all of a sudden it's one of their favorite routes, and then you just easily upload that to your
That's
Garmin.
probably the
Everybody
coolest
had
part.
directions.
I think that's the coolest part of Strava right now is, I mean, as cool as it is to look at the data, like the fact that you can just go grab a route, plug it in and get directions right away. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
It's the only way I was able to do rides
whenever
all
you were
across the
traveling.
country.
Yeah.
Because I would stop somewhere, I would look for routes in the area. I would either look for routes on Strava or look for routes on Ride with GPS, because Ride with GPS, you can actually search for certain names in routes and Ride with GPS in your local area that are a certain distance, that are that start a certain amount of miles away from where you are. So it made it easy to find those routes, to pin those routes, and then upload them easily to your Garmin. So I wasn't just lost.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell you if it's gravel or not.
How did you guys ride bikes before all of this? I'm joking.
don't know.
I'm joking. I used to just do the same route.
It's just better.
I literally used to just do the same route.
And there probably was like 50 other fantastic places you could ride you just didn't know about.
Not really in Ada, Ohio, but yes, out here, absolutely.
10 other places.
Yeah, there were at least 2 other solid squares you could have written in.
Right. So that's another part I love about it.
Gotcha. How about we move into the next part? What are some updates that you guys would like to see from Strava? What are some things out there that you think that Strava needs to seriously consider putting into one of their future updates to make it a better platform?
They need to take away KOMs that have not take away KO. They need to start flagging more dangerous KOMs, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Anybody can flag a certain KOM if they think it's dangerous.
Can they?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, but what about descending stuff? They really could they could basically we're not doing that anymore. Like do climbs, people.
Yeah.
I just don't like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this.
I'm kind of with you, Matt, on that. Yeah.
They did do away with the ability to make a descending segment one of your favorites, if I'm not mistaken. So you can't go it'll still show you if you're the KOM, but you know how there's the live
live segments.
So I don't believe that you can actually have that on descent. Now, a descent can be built into a full-on segment, but it's not just the segment. If I'm not mistaken, that's the way that it is for safety purposes.
That I think is okay. I agree. I think just only the descent is kind of
For example, if you go the Washougal Triple Crown, which is a segment that's pretty popular for us, there's some pretty like gnarly descents on that, going down Salmon Falls, coming down Hughes. Those are two long descents that have got some pretty sharp turns in them, and you can get speeds close to 50 miles an hour.
Yeah. Hughes is a dangerous descent. Yeah, I take that descent quite carefully usually. Yeah.
I may or may not have the KOM on that, but but that wasn't something that I was chasing. It was just me.
Does Guy Van have the Triple Crown right now?
I believe he does.
And I think I remember talking to him about this. I think he was losing time to Jordan on the climbs, and then he would hit those. And I mean, if anybody's ever ridden with Guy Van, he's a descending artist. The guy's incredible. But
well, he can go out and take both those. I do have both of those KMs. I have the KM going down Salmon Falls and the KM going down Hughes. If somebody went and took those from me, they're all yours. I'm done. I would not take another stab at those.
Not worth it.
I don't know what it was. It was the day was good, and I knew that the roads were clean, and I knew that it was a time of day where there's not going to be many cars, and I just felt good that day, but I would not attempt to take those again. And I just don't have, especially after getting hit by a car, I don't have the desire to go flying down a hill.
Yeah.
Lance, do you think you'll descend a little slower, or what do you feel right now?
No.
You feel okay?
He still feels pretty good. How about you, Matt? Yeah, like.
I actually get off my bike and I do like a crab crawl down the hill.
That's basically what you and me did anyway. So I mean, nothing's really changing for us.
I've thought about this a lot because I love to descend. I love to descend fast. I certainly, but on new descents that I don't know, I usually take corners easier and all those things. My accident was a complete fluke.
Yeah,
it was not really speed related.
Yeah.
There was a rock sitting in the border of a shadow line, and the rock was a larger rock that it just didn't see, and
one of those things, poop happens.
Yes, it just happened. So I don't know, but I'm not going to know until I actually
that's what I was thinking too.
Get on a descent and roll it. Although I did do a descent yesterday at 35 miles an hour, and I did not feel spooked.
That's good.
Even though I was on my rain bike with full fenders on it, because that's the only road bike I have right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, are there some updates you'd like to see?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the, descending KOMs. I think they should just kill those. I mean, I don't think they will, but people will be upset about killing any KOMs. But some more stuff potentially around like chat and messaging and making it. I know that is one of their goals, is to be social and things like that. I feel like people, will do these little chats and things like that, but I'd love to see like threaded comments, because usually someone will say something like, "Oh, Matt, great ride," or whatever it is, or "Cool, how do you go so slow on your descents?" They might say something like that. And I want to reply to that person. So like a threaded comment, as opposed to just replying to the entire group. So stuff like that. And then, being notified of those comments, and when someone specifically targets you with a comment, right? So I don't necessarily need to hear about everything. I don't want to be notified if I comment on Jake's ride, I don't want to hear about everyone else's comment on Jake's ride, because Jake's very popular. I just want to, like if Jake replies back to me specifically, then notify me. So there's stuff like that where it's just like kind of more granular detail to the social aspects of things. And that should be something that if they haven't looked into it already, they've got to be thinking about it. It's not that hard.
Very good point, Matt, because there are a lot of times where somebody will do something pretty spectacular. I'm like, I really want to congratulate them on that, but I know they're going to get 20 or 30 notifications, and I get far too many notifications in my life. I just don't need all of those other people's stuff to show up on my feed. So that's an excellent point.
Right. I mean, when Alan Plank rides like he Everest on an indoor
on Zwift,
14 hours on a bicycle,
you have to comment on that, right? Like we all feel like we have to comment on that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But then everyone feels the same way. I got to say something, and like I don't want to hear notifications on that for the next 3 weeks. Sorry, Plank, but I mean, it was awesome. I just don't want to hear how awesome it was for 3 weeks. It was super cool.
It was worth it for me, Plank. I've been getting notifications ever since. I've been getting notifications ever since.
Yeah, I commented on it. It was worth it. But if I could just have like a little threaded comment where it's like, boom, if Plank replies to me, I want to see that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Good. Lance, how about you?
I wish that the phone app had way more functionality, like the website does.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know what's super annoying about that too? For instance, when you get the notification that somebody took your KOM and you know it was a car, you can't go. Well, you
can't really flag it.
Yeah.
On the app.
No, you have to go into the web browser. And more times than not, you have your phone in your hand and you're like, all right, now I got to pull up the phone browser and go there. And that's a pain in the butt. Just to log into the website is a huge hassle. But every single time you pull up that web app, you have to log in.
Yes.
It doesn't stay logged in. And that just annoys the crap out of me. So the layout, the user interface of that kind of sucks a little bit. The fact that you have to log back in sucks a little bit. And the fact that you can't do it in the app sucks.
Yes.
So I wish that they would fix that.
There's even more metrics that you could see on the app. I wish that you could see on the app without having to pull up the website.
Correct.
Like I don't know if you guys use flybys. If you ever view the flybys.
Flybys are great.
Which I love looking at the flybys. You can't look at it on the app. You have to pull it up on a browser or on your...
if nothing else, if it's in the app and you click on I want to see that and it pulls up the web browser and it's right there, that's okay if it's not built into the actual app, but at least have some sort of way to integrate the two so you don't have to go log in.
Correct.
That process, just for me, it takes 30 seconds to a minute depending upon how it all is set up. Just to navigate to your ride, it kind of sucks.
Matt, you probably know more about this. Is that type of functionality harder to build into an app?
There's two ways you can do it. So the application on our phones, it's all like iOS, so it's native development, so it's written in a completely different language. However, you can, the bit that you guys just mentioned where it's like, hey, launch me into a little browser piece. There's multiple ways you can do that too. You can literally just link out into the, browser that someone suggests, or you can actually pull up a little it's kind of like a internal browser window to the actual application, and then you can pass in whatever that could be, pass in the credentials or pass in the activity or pass in the thing like, hey, I might want to flag this activity, and that could all be web based inside the app. So nice. You can think of it as like a little web shell inside the app. So there's two different ways they could attack that. No, there's not necessarily one right way to do it, and maybe they are, thinking about how they want to do it. Who knows? But they do have like a sizable developer group, I think, in the Bay Area, so they have resources to do this stuff. They should probably listen to our podcast.
They
frankly.
should.
There you go. Yeah.
I assumed most of Silicon Valley listens to this podcast. Is that true?
I think so.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I think we're trending in Silicon Valley.
I think we're talking directly to Strava right now.
I'm huge in Silicon Valley.
I'm huge.
Just waiting for that.
I'm huge in Iceland and Silicon Valley.
Evan, do you have any updates that you would like to see from? I've been just wanting to hear this response.
I think I want to see an update where you can maybe go with an RP type of measurement. We're all talking about real objective data stuff. It'd be really cool if we could come up with something where you could say this was a harder effort run, this was an easier effort run, this was this or that. Something that gives it a little bit more human, Anybody with me there?
They're trying to do that, it seems like.
Kind of there already, yeah.
I know they're starting to track metrics where it's this was a harder effort, this was a moderate effort, this was an easy effort.
Well, when you upload your ride, there it tells you, it gives you a little sliding scale at the bottom, what was your rate of perceived exertion on this particular thing. So that's kind of there, and then
and then they also, I don't know if this is a plug-in part or what, but I feel like I think this is somewhat new. They'll just automatically be like, this looks like a harder effort for you. It's pretty much anytime I do anything now, they're like, you are about to die.
You are overtraining for your current ability, man.
They have this they have this relative effort scale, which I don't know what it means. I don't know what they're basing it on. I'm guessing heart rate and power data, but it's this unknown scale.
I was more just thinking of kind of like how they give you that little description area that we all always type into. Something like that could come up. Yeah. I know. I'm always just, I'm probably like Lance, where it's just anytime I see a 0 to 10 scale, I'm like, oh God, I got it.
Would have a look, Evan. You might be interested. I think some of the stuff has that little thing. You just probably, I'm guessing a lot of your stuff is auto upload, and you change the title maybe, but nothing else or whatever. And I bet you if you dig in a little bit more, you'll be able to find that little what do you call those little things? Yeah, little dragger things.
A slider,
yeah.
Dragger.
For me, it'd just be easier for the people I'm coaching, just for being able to look at what was this effort like for you.
Yeah.
Yep, they need to. make that a little bit more visible too. So
Yeah.
I would love to see them update and just kind of find a little bit more sense of conformity between them and Garmin Connect and Training Peaks and all of the other platforms out there. If we could start to see numbers that kind of transcended all of the different platforms that were consistent with what our power meter is actually telling us, what our heart rate is actually telling us, so that we have this generalized understanding of what it is that we're doing out there, that would be a lot nicer. Because I don't pay attention to what they have to say. I look at the route and the pictures that I post up, and maybe take a look at the segments. But as far as the data is concerned, I don't even dig in there. I go straight to Garmin Connect and I just pull up my information.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the numbers I always look at is normalized power for ride, which gives me an idea of how much work I've done for that ride, and the kilojoules that I burned for that ride, because that gives me an idea how much work I actually did for that ride,
how much food I get to eat later.
Right, and like normalized power, you can't find on Strava.
No,
and so you have to get it from the Garmin Connect or from Training Peaks.
Yeah,
the other number I always look at is my training stress score for the week. I look at the TSS for the week, because in building phases you shouldn't be doing more than 600 TSS for a week. In really hard weeks it could be like 900, and if I'm not watching that number so that I'm trying to gauge my effort so that it can be spread out over a long time, you kind of lose that. We can't see that on Strava. You just have this weird relative effort number.
We had a discussion on Saturday during our ride just about TSS, because I've looked into TSS, but I really don't understand the scale entirely until now. I've looked a little bit more into it this last week.
Yeah,
I think it would be helpful too if there was. I mean, people who understand the TSS scores, it's easy, but not everybody really understands what the TSS score is. To me, that's the most important number to look at, because it is kind of what Jake was talking about. It's kind of like consolidating, synthesizing all of that random data that we look at into something that you can say, like, that was a harder effort, this was a less harder effort, this is the accumulative training stress you have in your system over this period of time.
Now, here's a question regarding TSS. I believe that's a licensed or a patent equation.
Oh, I'm
and
sure
I think
it
it belongs to Training Peaks. Is that right?
Matt,
Andrew Kogan is the guy that he plays a role in Training Peaks. I don't know if he's one of the founders, I assume. So he came up with the all these different metrics, TSS, and they're his. They own them. They own those things as their own property, and you have to license it to use them. So
Strava Sauce actually has a TSS score that will pop up on your Strava.
Yes.
And you see TSS, and there's a registered trademark there. I'm curious, what does it cost to license a TSS score to post that up using their equation?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I'm guessing that I wonder if Strava Sauce is like, screw that, we're not doing that, because I mean it's an open source software project. You have to plug in for a browser. They don't make any money,
correct?
Other than people donating, and so I'm guessing they're not super worried about someone coming after them legally and being like, you can't use our TSS nomenclature or whatever.
Also, all it would take, having gone through the process for patenting our saddle, it would literally just take somebody going, okay, let's call it an FSS, a fitness stress score.
Right.
Come up with your own algorithm that changes just a couple things in there, and there you go. You would have your own.
Yeah.
Your own
you would
score.
just need to change. You would need to change one metric. Yeah.
Yeah. Like literally, and I mean that's literally how those patents work. So I'm sure that's. I mean, if people continue to digest and appreciate the TSS, I'm sure we're just going to see different forms of it, different names of it, trying to all quantify the same thing.
It's a good formula.
Yep. Math. This was like Matt's wheelhouse conversation. It was like algorithms, math, and apps.
How about something like this? There are apps out there that will tell you what the wind is like for that particular day.
Yes.
They'll give you hey, today's a good day to go attack said segment.
See, I think this is cheating personally.
Kind of. Well, said the guy that's going to go up there and take a lake.
I know. Well,
waiting for a tailwind.
The appropriate.
I'm doing it behind a van, Jake. Come on now. I'm not cheating with the wind. I'm cheating with cars over here. So.
But let me finish my point, then you can come back. Now, if it were to tell you when favorable wind days are to go out and attack a particular segment, that might be good. But what also might be nice is if you do go get a KOM, if there was a wind score in there as well.
Yes.
So you can go look and say, oh, wait a second, he took my KOM, but there was an east wind. That route goes, to the west, and he had a 20-mile-an-hour tailwind. Okay, well that makes sense. So maybe
you be allowed to flag it at a certain wind score?
Well, I don't know.
I don't think there's a
Matt says no.
single flat KOM segment that has ever been taken without
some wind assistance.
some kind of wind assistance.
So it'd be nice to know, like, if Lance had a flat segment and he had a 20-mile-an-hour tailwind, and I went out and I did it with a 15-mile-an-hour tailwind and I beat him by a second, that's just going to tell you, well, that's a better effort.
That's a better effort, yeah.
If I came up short as well because Lance had 5 more mile-an-hour wind pushing him down the road. I mean, something like that I think might be kind of nice. But it would be also kind of cool that it could tell you, hey, the wind's favorable for this particular day. The winds are about 20 miles an hour, and you're a little shy on that segment. Maybe you want to go out there and attack Lance on that day, and this is the day to do it.
So where I live close to the river, close to the Columbia River, and the Columbia River Gorge in that area is notorious for wind, right? So I'm also not far from the Portland airport. I can actually see planes landing and taking off from where I live. And before I would ever go out for a ride, I would always look out the window and see which way the planes were landing. If you couldn't see trees moving and I couldn't tell which way the wind was blowing, I would look to see which way the planes were landing and taking off, because planes land and take off into the wind.
Would you plan your KOM
No, I wouldn't
attacks?
plan them.
Oh,
It was
okay.
just-
I was hoping
it was just a fact of okay, which way am I going to go? Because some segments are fine in the wind and some are just atrocious. Marine Drive is ugly into a headwind. It's ugly into a headwind.
450 watts, 11 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Going climbing, basically.
Flat, almost a downhill.
Yeah.
I used to always just look out the window and wait until I could see a plane going so I could know which way to kind of do my route for
That's
the day.
smart, yeah.
But I don't do that anymore because I use this app called Windy, and it shows you across the whole world. You can scroll in, zoom in and zoom out exactly which way the wind is blowing at that time and how strong it is.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So if I look at this Windy app and I'm like, oh, it's going to be blowing 25 in this
Abu Dhabi
direction
right now.
well, yeah. But I mean, if I can look right, I can zoom into my, hometown and the area that I'm thinking about heading. I can know which way the wind is really blowing, and I can kind of plan my route according to the way the wind is blowing and know, okay, I want to attack these 3 segments, and I shouldn't even bother attacking these segments if I'm headed out. So that's one app that has changed my route planning a little bit.
So Lance, you use the wind data to plan routes.
Yes.
And another spot that I think Strava really should be looking to invest time and money, and potentially even like separating out and rolling into its own app, is this planning routes. They have all this segment data, they have all this information, and it's fine. Like, we all use it to plan routes, to find roads, to do all this stuff. But man, I still feel like they're missing out on this awesome opportunity to be like, hey, here's wind data, and we know you like to do such and such routes. Like, look at these other options. And just be able to be like, roll through here. Yes, this looks good. Bam, it loads automatically to your bike computer, and you're good to go.
Yes.
Like, there's just so much more that could be done there from Strava's perspective, because they have the data. Getting wind data is not that hard. And they just have an opportunity. Like, people pay for that. So it's another little
I think you're right.
thing that they could potentially add to Strava as a whole.
Gotcha. What else you guys got? Matt, you got anything else?
When we use wind data, I don't know. At route planning, better route planning. I don't know. I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped on Strava. I think they do a good job. I would like to see them potentially roll out some other little apps in addition to this.
So, who would you say the king of route planning is? Ride with GPS?
I just feel like their stuff is so dated. Their app feels really clunky.
The web version of it, though, does pretty good.
Web version is good.
Yeah.
Don't we all use Strava segments to go find stuff?
Yeah, that's one thing I do. But I found.
What else do you do?
I found that searching an area on Ride with GPS was way quicker than finding a segment, looking at the 500 people that have done that segment, pulling up their ride, seeing if their ride is a route I wanted to do. It was way easier to find. I I'm in Louisiana. I want to do a 50-mile ride, and I need to start from this general area. That took me 3 minutes on Ride with GPS to find something.
And you can filter stuff too on Ride with GPS,
you can
which is
filter.
super nice.
Yeah, only routes that will download. All that stuff. It just doesn't tell you if it's on gravel or not.
So they're actually a Portland-based company.
Ride with GPS.
Are they really?
Yes. Yeah. And then Will Labyrinths, who is the person who puts on Tuesday Night PIR, who we're going to be teaming up with to co-promote the Tuesday Night Portland International Raceway races, works for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'll reach out to him and I'll see if we can get him on here to talk with us.
He would be cool to have
he's a
on.
super cool guy. He's very chill, easygoing, and he knows his stuff. And I would love to hear what he has to say about that. But I mean, Strava, maybe they do, maybe they don't have all the money in the world. Maybe they want to think about IPO. Maybe purchasing Ride with GPS to kind of build that in there. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Maybe. Evan, do you have anything else that you want to add to some updates that you love to see from all this technology stuff that you love and use all the time?
I think the update needs to be with me, not with the technology. So I would like to see an update on
Real
myself, like on just the ability to process these things, think like Matt does, just like get more of Matt's brain in my brain, I think is what I need. Yeah.
There's one more thing that I would love to see. So there are all kinds of routes. There are all kinds of roads that we love and we ride on all the time. And there's routes that I see people will ride on from time to time. As a matter of fact, one of your big competitors out there, both of our competitors out at Short Track, Danny Winkle.
Yeah.
Was it Winkle or Winkle?
Weichel.
Weichel? Okay. So he did
I saw him yesterday.
You did? So he did, he rode out, he did the big...
He did the Bridge of the Gods Loop.
Yeah. So I saw that, and I looked at his route. He rode up Washougal River Road, did the whole Washougal River Road. I'm like, good God,
It
dude.
would have been nice for him to know there's a better option.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if you see that and you're creating a route, it would be nice if like you're riding through a section where people can actually leave data or like, hey, warning, there's a better way to ride. Say like the locals aren't cyclist friendly, or just kind of to give it a rating, like a star rating, like this particular segment right here.
Right.
No bueno.
That is a great idea.
If we could give that feedback and it pops up when you're creating a route, that would be fantastic.
People name segments. Beware of dog. It's like,
oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I have here. It's like you can write warnings about, hey, Bubba likes to roll coal on you, and Bubba's always driving this road. Or
that would be an awesome update. Actually, would be the dog one.
Yeah.
If that was like it says like turn right.
Yeah.
If it was like house on right.
Yeah.
Large dog.
Well, just like this.
Ride fast.
Just 2 weeks ago, we're riding out there. and We're doing the Washougal Triple Crown route.
Yep.
We get to the top just before
Which one are you talking about?
Just before we're going to do the descent down Salmon Falls. You kind of get up to where it starts to level out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And there were 3 dogs that came out chasing us. We all had to get out of the saddle because these dogs wanted to bite. They wanted to bite legs.
Yeah.
I know the house you're talking about too. Yeah.
And I was kind of protected from everybody just based on where I was sitting by the time. But they're all like, "Oh crap, they're getting out of the saddle." The first thing I do is reach down for my water bottle because I'm either going to squirt them in the face or I'm going to chuck it at their head.
Yeah.
But just to be able to post something like, "Hey, beware," and if enough people like make that documentation or that notification, that's something that you can take to the authorities and say, "Hey, listen, people, your dog has accosted all of these different cyclists. You need to, put a fence up, leash them up, or do something." I don't know. I just think that there's a better way for us as cyclists to utilize all this data. I mean, you've got all these heat maps, and you can go look through and see all these great routes. But if you make a bad choice because you just don't know any better, if there's some sort of way that you can be warned, I think that Strava should be doing that.
Like with Washougal River Road, it'd be nice for people to know that there is no shoulder and heavy traffic. And so that's what makes it dangerous.
Yeah, it's a beautiful road.
It's a beautiful road, but no shoulder.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When I first moved here, I didn't know any better. And I'm like, I'm going to go ride out in Washougal. I rode out there with Corey Duncan, and he showed me some stuff. And I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know that you're not supposed to ride up Washougal River Road. And I'm riding up there going, oh, my God, this is spectacular. It's gorgeous. You're riding around along this river. And I'm like, yeah, there's not much of a shoulder here. And I didn't deal with much traffic that day.
Yeah.
And then I think my ride title is like, I think I found my new favorite road. And people started like chiming in the comments. They're like, don't ride on that, this, that, and the other. I'm like, really? Is it that?
You caught it on a good day.
Yeah. So I got lucky, but it was the community that was reaching out to me. Well, there's got to be a way that they can tell that to other cyclists so they don't get put themselves in a bad way.
Yeah.
So
true. Those
are my suggestions for updates and tips. Anything else out there from you guys?
That's it.
No.
Fix it, Strava.
We've solved it.
Come on, Silicon Valley. Let's get on this.
All right, real quick. Do you guys have any hacks, tips, or tricks? I said it right. Anything before we move on to one last thing?
The one Strava app hack that probably some people know about, but not everybody, is a way to kudo everyone.
Yes, that was pretty cool.
I love this
What?
Yeah.
So, but you have to be on the right.
Nah, that's disingenuous. You got to go.
So
in
say you've done a group ride or race,
gotcha.
and there's 40 other people that did it with you, and you actually rode with 40 other people. If you click on the 40 other people to see how many people have actually ridden with you, and if you shake your phone, it gives you a kudo everyone option.
No, you shake your
phone.
Lance is just making up stuff, so I'm just going to sit here and be shaking my phone
I'm
tonight.
surprised you don't know about this. I'm actually.
You have to pull.
This is the best little hack.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you just click on, it'll show your route. You go in there, you'll have your ride profile, and it'll show you all the different people. You click on that, and then it'll give you a laundry list of all of the people that you rode with.
I feel like
when
I'm
you
being
see that
punked
list,
right
all you
now.
have to do is shake your phone, and then it will give everybody kudos.
I know that they met before this, and they're like, let's tell Evan that he needs to shake his phone to give kudos, and I'm just going to be shaking my phone. My phone's broken. I'm sorry. This isn't going to work.
Yeah, the next ride that we're doing, too, we're going to be out there in our whitey tighties. Oh, Matt.
You guys.
Show up in your whitey tighties, Matt.
Whitey tighties.
And Evan.
That's a new setup.
Yep. No, that's full on legit.
Yeah.
100% legit.
Shake your phone.
Yep.
Gotcha, and shake it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do this tonight, and if I come in here next Monday, I'm like, I didn't work.
But you have to ride with other people.
You have to ride with other people.
Oh, gotcha.
You got a ride from Saturday,
So-
Evan.
What about a Zwift ride?
A Zwift ride?
There's others on there, right?
Same
Oh,
thing.
yeah, that's exactly.
Okay.
So you can go give all those people kudos.
So when I do my Zwift race this week,
Yeah.
I'm going to shake my phone.
After you see that list is up.
After
and
I see the list,
you race with 40 other people, it'll give everybody kudos.
Okay, I'm doing this then.
You're going to love it.
We're going to see if this works.
You can be everybody's best friend. He's going to come back with 1,000 followers.
Oh, yeah. Maybe well ahead of Lance.
Yeah, possible.
So many kudos.
Any other tips, tricks, or hacks?
Name your ride something fun, not afternoon ride.
Yeah. Everybody, please name your ride. This has been. I've had very boring names, but I have done my very best to make sure that when I upload
There's some
something,
kind of ride.
as bad as I am at Strava technology, I will always give at least a slightly creative name.
Yeah.
I'm not quite to the level of Lance. Lance is like writing poems over here. I look forward just to Lance's titles.
And add a picture.
Yeah.
And add a picture. Yeah.
Anything else, Matt? You got anything else out there for us?
It's easier to get Strava segments. All you have to do is hop in your car.
Yes.
Or if you're close, to take your Garmin off and chuck it ahead of you on the road.
There you go.
Ooh, I never even thought about that.
Or in me and Matt's case, just take turns driving the minivan, riding behind the car, so you're still on a bicycle, so you're not technically cheating. So.
Oh, love it. Love it. Right on. Well, that's always a fun topic. I love Strava, and it's always neat to hear about some new stuff. So if we missed anything, or if there's something else you think we should talk about, do let us know. Chime in. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, one last thing. Let's run around the old table here. Evan, you want to start us off with one last thing?
Yeah, we are looking to open up online classes coming up here soon out of the clinic. Obviously, the goal early on with opening of the Endurance Lab, the Dialed Endurance Lab, was going to be very large group classes where we all get to hang out together in one confined space and enjoy exercise together.
How's that going for us, Evan?
In recent times,
How's our timing?
that is frowned upon now. So we will not be doing large
Not
classes.
currently.
Yes, a group. The volume in the clinic is basically 1 to 2 to 3 at a time, and that is about it. And so I will be moving some of our swim-specific, cycling-specific, and run-specific performance strength classes that we were planning on rolling out online. So you get to still see the space, which is going to be fun. It's like you're there.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
cool.
Zwifting for strength class. Think of it that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll be moving those indoors here soon.
Yeah. Again, our timing for launching this
Oh,
thing
just
and opening
couldn't
the
have been
doors.
any better. We are adapting, folks, though. So stay tuned.
It's all good.
We are still pushing.
We will come out stronger for it.
Absolutely.
Maybe some new programs to offer too.
We'll be very creative. We will be super creative when this is done. That is for sure. So anything you guys need, we will have an option for. That is for sure.
Matt, you got one last thing?
Sure. I posted a video yesterday talking about, I think it's kind of like viruses. I don't remember what we called it, but it's like COVID-19 and
I
triathlon
liked it, Matt.
stuff.
Yeah, it was cool. I watched it this morning.
Cool. But that's not what I want to use for my one last thing. What I want to request from our listeners is a kind of a challenge that I want to put together for a video for the following week. And I might just I'm gonna make a short video kind of asking for people to post photos of how they're getting their exercises done during the quarantine type stuff. So,
I like that.
So here's the challenge. Could be swimming, biking, running, whatever it is. Photos of how they're getting exercise during quarantine. You need to use the hashtag exercise during quarantine. And I'll go through and look at all of those. You can post them to Facebook or Instagram, and I'll go through, search all of those, and then make a separate video where I give an award to whichever one I feel is maybe most artistic, and then an additional award to whichever one is kind of the most creative. So that's my goal or at least an idea for a video to do in the next week or two. And I think it's kind of fun because everyone kind of get involved and post some pictures of how they're getting their exercise done. And as long as you guys use the hashtag, I should be able to find it and be able to put together some sort of video. And I don't have much for an award. I have my swim, bike, runs, rinse, repeat stickers that I can give. And I can dig around and find something else to add to the bounty so that people will really get pumped about it.
Hey, let's talk after this. Maybe I can give you some things to include in your little packages. I like what you're doing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, bud.
Matt,
For
sure. Is there a minimum amount of clothes required for said pictures? Because when I train indoors,
whitey tighties, baby.
I don't like doing laundry, so I make sure I wear as little as possible when I'm training indoors. So
yeah, there's a whitey tighty requirement.
Will you flag the picture otherwise?
You can actually post as many pictures as you want to. There's no minimum, you don't have to only post one of your whatever photos. You're eligible for all the awards and as many photos as you would like.
So with these photos, Matt, will you feature them in your video?
Yes,
okay.
I will.
Do you want any footage from people as well? If they're shooting some video, do you want any of that?
Videos will be eligible for the same awards, but really I'm looking for photos.
Photos it is.
So a stream of consciousness for my 22-mile treadmill run is allowed.
Actually, your photo that you posted on your treadmill of the
that's a pretty good video.
There's a bit of a blur to it.
It's a pretty cool.
Maybe we should call it artistic.
It was an impressionist view of what the treadmill looked like to me at that time, Matt.
So use the hashtag and you'll be entered to win.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Cassie how to do hashtags tonight then, and then I will get that to you.
I love you, Evan. I love you.
I miss you, Matt.
That's fun. All right, remember that's hashtag exercise during quarantine.
You're going to need to text that to me, Matt, actually, please. And I'm actually not joking there. Please
do.
We'll
post it to the
YouTube.
We'll post it to our Facebook page.
Oh, okay, cool.
For the podcast. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Sweet.
Do it from there.
Lance, one last thing.
I really got nothing.
What are you going to do this week on the bike? Are you going to ride outside?
I'm going to do all the rides this week.
Do you want a Zwift race? No, never mind. Do not Zwift race me here coming up.
I'm not
going to
Zwift race. No.
I just completely forgot our rules from earlier.
Yep. I can't go that hard.
So you're going to ride outside, or are you going to be on the trainer? What are you going to do?
It's going to rain a lot, so I'll probably do a little both.
Yeah, just be careful out there.
Yes.
Cool. My one last thing is we have a little challenge that we're going to start with our team. I'm going to roll that out here pretty soon. It's going to be a weekly challenge. We're going to come up with a different Strava route that we'll create, and we'll actually turn it into a segment, not just a route. And anybody from our team or anybody here locally that wants to be a part of that, all they have to do is just go join the Dialed Cycling Strava group or club, whatever they're calling that. And we'll be posting stuff there, and it's going to be basically you against that segment, and you have to do it all by your lonesome to abide by the rules that we're trying to stick to. And
Windy app.
And we're going to have some giveaways for each of these things. And I gave everybody in the team a bunch of things to choose from. And for the most part, there were only 2 people that said that they're going to, that from the last time I looked, that said that they're going to pass. And for obvious reasons, they're just, either A, concerned about it, or B, it's not their cup of tea. But overwhelmingly, everybody said they wanted to do this. And then we're actually going to break it out based on your race category. So,
cool.
You don't have the likes of, say, Jordan coming out and blowing your doors off on a climb. Well, Jordan's a Cat 3, so if you're a Cat 4 or Cat 2, it might even behoove you to be a Cat 2 just so you don't have to put up with that Cat 3 nonsense that he is.
I was about to say, could we preface that with Jordan's a Cat 1 too?
But anyway, we'll try and break it out. We'll have some little prizes for everybody. I've got all kinds of stuff from beanies, and we're getting some more hats and shirts made, and socks and water bottles and stickers and all kinds of stuff that we'll have as little prize packages. And we're going to open this up to everybody so that you can go out there and get your fitness in. And we'll do this so long as we think that it's safe and sanitary and healthy, and everybody's going to go out there and have a good time of it. So, yeah.
Love it.
Yep. That's it, folks. That's a wrap. episode 109. Hope we helped you pass a little bit of time this week. This is just tough times for everybody, so just grin and bear it, do your thing, and do the little challenge like Matt's got going on, and we'll keep bringing you the podcast. And if there's anything that you'd like to hear about, or if you want to come on and do our listener hot lap with us too, I know that a lot of people are sitting at home and have got a little bit of extra time. Just hit us up on the social medias, and we'll be happy to chat and get you on here. Outside of that, we really appreciate you listening. We'll catch you next week. Bye for now. Lead Out News is canceled. Champ Bailey's canceled.